Hello and welcome to IEEE UCF podcast, The Knights Open Circuit. My name is Brian.
And I'm Fernando. On this episode, we have four special guests. We have Alex Parady, the president of IEEE. We have Trishna Khatri, the president of SWE. We have Jason Davis, the president of NSBE. And we have Carlos Arboleda, the president. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Just to begin, do you all want to talk a little bit about your clubs and what they're all about?
Yeah, I can definitely start off. So to introduce myself again, I'm Jason Davis, the president of the National Society of Black Engineers. And to give you like a quick spiel of what we are about, I'm going to mention our chapter mission statement, right? And what that is to retain a talented and successful chapter dedicated to personal, professional, and academic growth. So with everything we do in our organization, we try to fulfill those three goals right there.
Awesome. I guess I'll fill in the next one here. So IEEE, Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers. I think kind of where we fit into the realm of UCF is we are constantly trying to push the boundaries on like what's possible as engineers and the technical side of engineering. We've built up a really good family this last year, but I think it all really does center on giving opportunities with these technical projects we've put on this last year. Obviously, we focused a lot on the electrical and computer engineering students, but we have opportunities for everybody. We continue to try to expand those to everybody. And yeah, I mean, this is just an extension of it here with the podcast. And again, it's great to be here, guys.
Very cool. Trishna?
So SWE represents the Society of Women Engineers. And so the goal of our chapter is to empower women in engineering and technology. And so we do this by having workshops in professional development. And this year we've put some technical workshops as well. And so the entire goal of this is to help women build their careers as they move through college and hopefully enter the workplace as successful women that can help bring about change.
Very cool. And last but not least, we have Carlos.
Nice. So hi, everyone. My name is Carlos Arboleda. I'm the current president for the Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers. For anyone that's not Hispanic, don't panic. You're good. We are open to everyone from all over the world, any major. So our goal as a club is to empower the Hispanic community and any minority community on campus. We are part of a parent nonprofit organization with hundreds of chapters all over the country, with the biggest chapters being in Florida, with UCF being the second largest chapter in the country. So we're here for you guys.
Thank you so much. And first and foremost, I just want to ask, why presidency? It's such a big role to do for the club. So how did your starting club drag you into it? Or what was your first experience entering the club?
I can jump in. So are you asking like first ever, like why go into the club, or?
Like how did your club attract you and not any other club, you know? Why do you choose this club and how do you end up in your position as president? That's huge. That's a lot of work.
Okay. So at least for me, so I joined the club initially for two reasons. One, free food, and two, I knew like three people in the club. And I was at a point, it was my sophomore year of college, and I just needed to kind of just cleanse myself from the high school friend group and all of that. So I was kind of like, I'm in college, next chapter, let me just start fresh, start new. And once I joined, I was sucked into the cult. is a good way to call it. But no, I kind of hit the ball rolling really quickly, and then 5 leadership positions later, here I am, president of SHPE.
I guess I can go next. SWE was the first organization that I knew of going into college because I had applied for a scholarship in high school. So first thing I saw when I got into school, and they had that little display in the atrium, I think, of all the organizations. The only one I recognized was SWE. And so I just walked up. I think she was secretary at the time of the organization. And I'm like, hi, I want to be in your club. And so I just did the little sign up sheet, and that was that. From that point on, I just started going to all the events, the conferences. I was transitioned from outreach chair my second year, internal VP my third year, and now president. So it was like a gradual transition, I think, getting into where I am today.
Yeah, I can go next. So, coming from high school, which was predominantly Black, coming into UCF is not really the same, right? walking into the engineering atrium, I walked in and, I didn't see a lot of people of my color, a lot of people from my culture, being a Black Hispanic. And I wanted to look around for something, to feel a part of something. So one day in my dorm in Nike, as a freshman, one of my yeah, Alex, I see, he's lived there too. As a freshman, one of my friends, Juan, he actually mentioned, hey man, you should join the National Society of Black Engineers. There's not a lot of organizations for us. You should try to join that. And I was like, all right, bet, I'll join it. So once I joined, I fell in love with it, right? They provided me a lot of internship opportunities, financial opportunities, as well as academic and professional. And I was a member, and then I wanted to apply to become a membership share. And due to a lack of a vice president, the president at the time wanted me to become vice president. And then after that, the president had to leave due to some unforeseen circumstances, and I became president after that. So ever since, I've been blessed in trying to provide all the opportunities that they provided to me, to our members over there. And that's how I kind of joined NSBE.
Yeah, I think from my perspective, I probably my path more similarly follows Jason's and kind of the more or less like rapid ascension into this position. I've been a part of IEEE since I was a freshman, and I really enjoyed the opportunities that were given early on. And since they focused a lot on electrical engineering, it was something that obviously called to me from that aspect. But this last year, it was kind of like an anomaly that I was put into this role. I had applied for several positions because I did really want to get involved with IEEE. I honestly thought there was like no chance I was going to be elected to be president at that time, but I put in a lot of work into my speech and was, lucky enough to get into that role. I saw a lot of opportunity to kind of facilitate some changes and make a lot of improvements, especially in this time where it's like everyone's kind of been struggling and it's difficult to find that kind of footing. So again, I actually didn't hold any positions prior to this year, but it's been really awesome to see all the stuff that we can do. And the family we've built out this last year has been great. And I'll be lucky enough to be serving again next year as president, it seems. So I'm looking forward to doing it again in person, hopefully, fingers crossed. But yeah, I've definitely enjoyed kind of steering the ship this year. It's been awesome.
Very nice. Is presidency something that you all expected it to be? Like, do you feel that this is something that you knew this is what it's like going? Obviously, with COVID, that's just a big spike in your wheel. But other than that, do you feel like this was expected?
I can definitely answer first. So, going to the president's role, you're basically the face of your organization, right? It's a lot of pressure. For example, let's just say a bad newsletter or something unfortunate happens among an organization that comes out to newspapers or, online newsletters and whatnot. You're the first person to blame, and that's something, it didn't happen to our organization, but that's how much of a responsibility you have as president. So coming into presidency, I did expect a lot of work to come out of it, right? But I noticed I was putting a little bit too much work into it as much as I needed to. And one of the biggest problems I had during my presidency was delegating, right? My passion and the amount of work I want to put into my organization overcame, I guess my mind during that time. I realized I could delegate these tasks to my other members, board members, and my board members were very thankful and very supportive of me during that time, of me delegating the tasks. And ever since then, presidency has been a lot better for me. But long story short, yeah, presidency is definitely a big responsibility, and it takes a lot of work to be one.
Yeah, I definitely want to echo what Jason's saying there. I think no matter like any leadership position, and especially when the buck kind of stops with you, there's definitely a learning curve with it. It's I think especially delegation is really the hardest thing, and trying not to bury yourself in the workload. It's very easy to see a task and think that you're the only one that can get it done, or that, it's so important that you need to do it. But in reality, you have a team of like really skilled people that have volunteered to be a part of that team. And I think it's super important to, be able to get that weight off of yourself and help diffuse it amongst everybody. And again, I think that also is diffusion of opportunities as well. It's like, even though it all kind of relies on you, in the end of the day, you can diffuse that to multiple people.
You know, that realization when you care so much about something, and all of you are all big go-getters, you know, you want to achieve, you want to do, and so you see a task like, oh yeah, I can do this, and then, you know, sometimes it's good to ask for help. It's good to look around and recognize that there are people here to support you.
Sure.
After doing so much for your clubs, do you guys ever feel like it goes unappreciated? Like people don't notice all the hard work and countless hours you put in.
I think sometimes people don't realize what goes on behind the scenes. So we have a lot of different officer positions on top of our executive board positions, at least for SWE. And so all of those positions, like none of those positions go to waste. Everyone has a certain responsibility to make sure that our organization runs smoothly, marketing, event planning, workshops. And so I think sometimes people don't realize that we do put in effort like for weeks. And also, especially this year, we have to figure out how to translate previous events that we've had a tradition of participating in or hosting. We have to figure out how to translate that into virtual formats because not everything is suited. Like we used to have a brunch for e-week. We couldn't do a brunch this year. I mean, we could mail everyone brunch items, but that takes away from the brunch aspect that we would have usually done. So it's things like that where we've had to been coping with it as well, just like everyone else, with figuring out how to plan events that suit everyone.
And to second that as well, it's one of those things where it's so SHPE, like SWE, we have a really big executive team. So we have 5 people on the executive board, and then we have 13 directors. And I mean, I'm guilty of this. I'm sure we're all guilty of this, but everyone's kind of just quick to judge, right? So like whenever you watch a sport and someone misses a pass, you're always like, oh, I could have made it, or I could have caught that. But in the reality is, probably couldn't have. So like a lot of people are kind of quick to judge or quick to kind of jump on whatever goes wrong and not really kind of see the effort that went behind that. So for example, for us, this was the first year where conference went virtual, and conference has this tradition of being the epitome of the fall semester, or the epitome of the job hunt, or the, oh, I just got a job, I got interviews. And this year everyone's kind of like quick to ask questions or quick to blame not us, but us. And we were kind of like, we're in the same boat as you guys. Like we're trying, we're making the effort, but we don't know how to meet a bar of the expectations set by an in-person conference virtually, right? So, but I mean, people are kind of quick to judge, are kind of quick to just only see the bad when it's like, hey, like there's been a lot of effort. So even if there was a bad, we tried.
Yeah, I think for sure, echoing kind of what Carlos is saying there, uh, in reality, the people that are kind of running these organizations, we're all just students. We're all kind of at the same base as one another. And, we all make mistakes here and there. I'm sure you guys have felt this as well. Like we've had times where we're in such a bad situation and it seems like the world's just falling apart. But in reality, I mean, like, what is life if we're not making errors? Like that's kind of the best way to improve through it and come out the other side being better.
I agree. And speaking on the underappreciation, I actually want to speak about depreciation as well, if you don't mind me talking about that. With COVID happening, I'm pretty sure we can all kind of relate, but our attendance numbers for events have probably gone a little bit down, because people are worried about COVID. They want to make sure they're careful throughout that whole time. So there's been times that our members, including your members too, from different members among your organizations, they kind of announce like, hey, even though COVID is happening, at least the effort is being put on to have events, right? For example, maybe a student who hasn't gotten a chance, a freshman mostly, hasn't gotten a chance to get out there on campus and meet new students, due to COVID and the different guidelines on it. They want to try to find ways to meet new people. And fortunately, they have organizations like us to help them out during those times. And for example, in NSBE, there was a student like that, and he was very thankful that we had different events because you couldn't meet anybody being on campus, So even though there's a lot of underappreciation, I noticed a lot of appreciation comes from what's been going on lately, especially.
Big snaps to that, yeah.
Being a former officer for SHPE and even doing this for IEEE, I'm gonna say it's annoying, but like it can be like I have classes, I have homework to do, So how do you guys deal with this? Like it's so much more than what I do. Have you guys ever had like a breaking point where you're like, I quit, I'm done, I'm out? Or is your love for the club, too powerful to do that?
Yeah, I'll take this up just because I feel like I've been going through this a lot this week, and I kind of said it to you guys before we started recording. But yeah, there's definitely times where like everything kind of hits the fan at the exact same time, and then it's like, how am I going to get this all done? Uh, it's not easy for sure. I think that's kind of the mindset you have to come in with thinking already. Like if you're taking on a position like president, like you got to know that things are going to be difficult at times, and that it takes just the dedication and the effort, and sometimes not that much sleep, and and like very long work hours. From my point of view, I think it is worth it. I think honestly, like the feeling of like gratification once you're done with something like that is awesome. Like there's really nothing in the world that's as great as when you've put in a ton of work and then you come out the other end with a product that's really like amazing, and especially when it helps others. I think that's like the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
I think all of us, we've all had that hell week, or in some cases hell weeks, where like you mentioned, like everything just kind of hits the fan out with the one time. So for me, that was in October, and it got to a point where my roommates barged into my room and they're like, "Hey, are you okay?" Or like, "Hey, if you need us to cook for you, let us know. Like we'll make you dinner or something." And it really comes down to just making sure that you have that support system for your classes, for yourself, to say like, because again, we're all students, so priority should be school. But as presidents, we don't always make school the priority. We oftentimes just make the club the priority. So it's making sure you have that support around you, whether it's for your classes or just even on your boards or not, to call you out and say, hey, realign your priorities. I know there's a lot going on, but make sure you're doing what you have to do to still pass your classes, still do well, and not just kind of give your all into something that could, I don't know, not affect you good and bad, I guess. I don't know, but I'm just kind of rambling at this point, but yeah.
Yeah, I feel like, yeah, go ahead.
Adding on to that, I would say I've definitely had many break points this year, especially last year as internal vice president, that made me question whether or not I could handle being president. But I would say also not only realigning our priorities, but ensuring that we understand our officers' priorities or directors' priorities, because not everyone has the same level of dedication and passion that you have as president. And you have to understand that, like, there are officers that have tests to study for, have assignments to complete, and events that they're planning might not always match up perfectly with their assignments. And it's our responsibility to understand that and help them when they're struggling with that, because they didn't sign up for spending 30 hours a week or 20 hours a week, however long we spend doing things. They didn't sign up for that. They signed up to do what they were responsible to do and still balance that with school.
Yeah, I want to kind of piggyback on everybody. We will all be lying here if we didn't spend more time on our club than we did in our classes, right?
Yeah.
There's been so many times that I've had to, I'll give you a specific example. There's been so many times I had to push back computer science too, and that's a class you can't push back. The process you learn in that it's a lot. So, but I'll be honest, I especially last semester, I probably spent more than 80 to 90% of my time on the club and not in classes. And that's a huge mistake that I've made. But the best way to learn through things is to make mistakes, right? I feel like we all went through that. But look at us now, we're trying our best to become passionate and help our organizations out. And that's what all that matters, as long as you're okay, kind of what Carlos was mentioning earlier. So, but yeah, we definitely went through a lot. But the passion that we have for our clubs and for ourselves and our academics is going to push through that.
Part of the reason why I love this podcast so much is because we get to see, that not all professionals are people, and all RSO presidents are still students. I mean, you have to dedicate this time, and you still have classes, you still have a life you have to go through, but it's obvious that all four of you have a lot of passion for what you do. Where does that come from? Like, what drives you to get up and be like, yeah, I'm going to spend this time because I care about this group? But where does that stem from with each of you?
I could start off, no problem. So, for me, mostly, I'm gonna speak briefly on it, but unfortunately, last summer, with the whole Black Lives Matter movement, there's a lot of turmoil, a lot of social injustice and whatnot during those times, and kind of seeing that happening, it kind of made my passion for this organization, United Society of Black Engineers, skyrocket, right? So one of my biggest reasons why I'm here is to provide opportunities to people who are not privy to it, right? You all have heard, low income schools, for example, they don't have a lot of opportunities to, for example, engineering projects, right? Maybe working on a drone race, for example. That's something I would have loved if I was a kindergartner, not really a kindergartner, but more of like a first grader, second grader and whatnot, even in middle school and high school. But what my main goal personally, and the reason why I'm here, is to make sure that, like I mentioned, provide these opportunities to the people who have not been privy to it, as well as help people build themselves, build their characters in order to make an impact among the world, right? And that's my biggest goal of why I want to be a part of NSBE.
It's incredible. It's awesome.
I think for me, so as a computer science major, what I do, well, for like the immediate future, like for the last 4 years, I've only been able to really make a difference when I'm in my internships or when I'll be going to my job after college. And so at SWE, I can actually make an immediate difference for people. And so, for example, my first position actually was outreach chair, and that was organizing workshops for middle school and high school girls. And so that was really helpful to help me illuminate, like, this is actually really helpful and I want to help support this, not just for them, but also for our current college members. And so that was very insightful and helped actually build my path through SWE and made me realize that this is like where I want to be, even if it might not perfectly align with my major. It's a nice break actually from my major. So I really love just helping and spreading the diversity.
For me, it's similar to kind of both Jason's and Trishna's, but it's giving back what was given to me. So when I came into SHPE, I was 2016, I was 19, I had no idea what I was doing. My first GPA at UCF was like a 2.6. I was lost. I was like a lost little duckling, right? And from then to now, last year, especially as development director, I was in charge of preparing everyone for conference, and seeing freshmen and sophomores get interviews, get offers, juniors and seniors get full times. It's when you really realize that you are playing with people's lives, and you are kind of really that mediator between someone actually starting their career, someone maybe not starting their career, and you realize that when they say thank you, like they genuinely mean it. And it's, for me, that's everything. That makes it all worth it, in the sense that maybe I didn't get the job, but I helped someone start the career, or helped someone do something that they couldn't do a couple months ago.
Yeah, you guys are awesome. No, honestly, I love all those. I think mine is a little bit like less altruistic in that sense. I mean, I think I do kind of pivot a lot of like why I'm interested in this on the fact of giving opportunity to as many people as possible. But I do think part of me is very interested in trying to push the boundaries on what students can do technical wise. Like, again, we're trying to build a car, we're trying to build a disinfection robot. We're trying to do things that many professionals kind of look at students and think, you guys are too early along to do something like this. And what I kind of see in IEEE is like trying to push that boundary and keep doing things that others around the country would, be very fond of and think that that's like awesome. I think for me, when I was kind of in high school and growing up, there's certain engineers in the world. I think Elon Musk is definitely one of the big ones for me that like inspire you to do really cool things. And that's what I kind of want to be in this world, is somehow be able to do amazing things, lead people to do amazing things, and have others see that and be inspired to do even cooler things later down the line.
So cool. It's all really awesome. And also, I will say it's evident that you all very much care about the community that you're building. Do you feel that you are creating this community you envisioned with people around you? Do you feel you have that support?
I'll give it a quick start. I mean, I think I'll throw it kind of all out on the line. When I kind of came in, I was definitely worried that IEEE was kind of, falling to the wayside a bit. We were definitely lacking member involvement. Like some people were, especially with COVID, and I'm sure you guys can all relate to this, but a lot of people were kind of falling to the wayside. And I was definitely worried that there would not be a community that would be interested in what we're doing. We've learned a lot this last year, and I think a lot of that has to do with, you know, providing cool opportunities, even especially actually in this time where it's like opportunities are so limited and there's really not that much that's available to people. And it's really cool. I think echoing what you guys said as well, the kind of the gratitude that some of the community like shows to us, and that like we're providing this and we're giving them opportunities. Like seeing the people getting involved, seeing them, you know, even just talking in the Discord, like that's awesome to have seen that we've been able to build that up and still maintain it through this last year. Like there really is nothing that makes me feel better, honestly, than seeing that.
For us, at least. So before COVID, we had 400 members, and when COVID hit, so at least with SHPE, we really pride ourselves on building La Familia, right? So family is big to us. It's culture. It's kind of having that community. So when COVID hit, I was expecting, 100 members. If we're lucky, 120. We're just shy of 250 members, even through COVID. So for me, that just kind of really solidified that regardless of what's happening, the family is still there. That support is still there amongst everyone. So even though we had a dip from 400 to 250, for me, I still see that as, through COVID, it was a big win for us.
So for my organization in NSBE, my biggest vision was mostly, providing financial accessibility, providing professional and academic workshops to help people build themselves up. And unfortunately, I wanted to do this in person, but with COVID happening, kind of what Carlos was mentioning, numbers dwindled, right? What Alex was mentioning as well. But something else I wanted to do, similar to Carlos, was kind of having a tight-knit family come together and be able to get past this COVID situation. And, through any small social events, yesterday we had a SWE x NSBE picnic. And just that event, seeing everybody coming outside, socially distanced, by the way, seeing everybody come outside, talking to each other, throwing the ball around, talking about Apex and Call of Duty Warzone. That's something we love, and that's something that we can do online, but less inclined to do. So my biggest thing when I, becoming president was getting people together to talk, to be able to get through this thing together. And example like yesterday made it through. So yeah, the community that I wanted to envision was able to happen thanks to these social events and all of our GBMs, as well as academic and professional workshops.
So I will say for us, when my initial plans as president, not COVID withstanding, were to have more social events. Obviously with COVID, that's not necessarily social conducive, I would say. But I am happy that the events that we do have, the social events, the GBMs that we have, the people who do come out, they're like really enjoy the events. They're the ones that love the events. They're the ones that ask for the materials afterwards for any of our workshops, or to get connected to our speakers. So that's what matters more. Not so much the number of members that we have, but the quality of the events that help our members engage. And so I think that's something that we'll definitely take away for next year. And hopefully being in person will make things a little bit more social friendly for us. I know that we haven't been doing many in-person events. We did have the one collaboration event yesterday. Thank you for that. But other than that, I think it's, quality over quantity for us.
For sure.
Yeah, fingers crossed the next year too, honestly. I think the light is at the end of the tunnel.
Oh yeah, we got vaccines rolling out, hoping for the best.
Right.
Hopefully in the future we have, an IEEE X SHPE, X NSBE, X SWE event.
We got to do it. Got to make it happen.
Hey, I'll come, even after I graduate, I'll come back. I'll do it.
We still got time. We got 4 weeks left.
Yep.
I can Zoom in. I'll be that one hybrid virtual speaker in the corner.
Yeah.
Zooming in from Seattle.
Yeah. We'll put a little iPod on like a Segway. We'll just...
Yeah. Like Karen from SpongeBob.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Do you guys have a favorite event that you've put on?
I'll definitely start this off. So I would say I'm not going to kind of repeat everything that happened, but the NSBE X SWE event, it was our largest event to date. And it was like I mentioned before, you know, just being able to talk amongst each other was amazing. We bought a lot of boxes of pizza, cheese and pepperoni. SWE brought out some great desserts, especially Little Bites. That's my favorite thing. Little Bites is amazing, by the way. Yeah, and we just had a chicken platter from Publix, you know, and just being able to, like I mentioned, talk to different people and just get to learn more about different cultures and different diversities on different individuals is just an amazing thing to do. So the picnic, you know, with everybody being together, that was my favorite event.
Yeah, I think for us, we did a few in-person workshops this year that were, we did them out at Lake Claire and had we built out like soldering stations and all this stuff and kept everybody socially distanced, cleaned everything. And I think kind of my mindset when it was coming into that is that so many of these labs that we normally do, especially for electrical engineers and computer engineers, when you're working with hardware, you're like hooking up resistors and capacitors and et cetera. That's been totally lost this year. And I think that's like one of the most unfortunate side effects of this is that so many people lost that opportunity. And I think the 3 workshops we put on in person, even though we had to go through like a million hoops for it, justifiably, I think it was really cool to be able to be that group that was offering those opportunities to people and giving them a chance to still get their hands dirty while still keeping health and safety as a priority.
I would say for SWE, 2 events. One of them was our welcome banquet because we usually have that in person with food and everything. That was in the fall. And so what we did was we took it virtual. We had like little breakout rooms and rotated people around through the breakout rooms, and everyone seemed to really love it. We did like some Slido questions in between to break it up a bit while we rearranged the rooms. And so everyone, all the professionals we spoke to like raved about it. All the members loved it because they got to speak one-on-one with professionals. And so that was really nice to hear because obviously when you take away the food aspect from events, it tends to not engage people as much as we were really afraid of that going into it. But everyone got what they wanted out of the event, and that's what was most important. I would also say we did have our one and only technical workshop, I think. It was a mail-in TI, our Texas Instruments workshop. And so we sent out hardware. It was in collaboration, I think, with a few other organizations at other universities with them, but it was all virtual. Texas Instruments was nice enough to mail the kits and everything. And that was really amazing to get that like off our plate because we've never really had too many technical workshops in the past.
So for me, 2 come to mind. Both are more social. So the first one was our Shepsgiving. So this was back last November. It was our first in-person social we did. And it was just really nice seeing everybody in person for the first time that semester. And it was really nice seeing that there was a mixture of new people, but it was also a lot of old people that just weren't active virtually. So just to know that they're still there, they were just waiting to kind of be able to show up in person. And you just see everyone having a good time, playing soccer, volleyball, eating food, COVID friendly, of course, right? But it was just nice getting everyone together again at the same table, at the picnic table. And my second event, it's a collaborative event that we did with SHPE, and it was just really nice getting both chapters together and introducing our chapter and their chapter and really continuing that family aspect across chapters. Because that's one of the best things that SHPE has to offer is that no matter what chapter you come from, whenever you come together, it doesn't matter what school you went to, it doesn't matter where you're from, everyone just knows each other. And I'm sure Fernando can attest to this as well. But it's just a huge network, and it's nice getting the 2 schools in Florida just together again was a really big highlight.
Yeah, if you don't mind me taking the show here a little bit, Fernando and Brian, but I got a question for you guys and super curious based on like your answers here. Like, how do you guys think the adjustment back to normalcy is going to end up playing out this next year? Do you think, my personal view is that it's going to be, very gradual. There's going to be a lot of struggles. It's definitely not going to be a binary switch. I'm super interested to hear kind of what your guys' point of views are on that.
Um, I'll jump in really quick. I think it's going to be sort of an identity crisis for everyone, just because we've all finally found our flow virtually, and now to have to switch back to in person with all new e-boards, with for a lot of us, a lot of our older members have graduated that were here before COVID. So like the awareness that people had of what SWE was or NSBE was or SHPE was or IEEE was before COVID just isn't there anymore. So it's just refining that identity or that, or just to keep the growth going without kind of going back too far. Because at least with SHPE, before COVID, we were really social club, we were very professional club. But now after COVID, now it's kind of like a lot of our older members are gone. So it's how do they refine that, their identity, the culture, and get back to balancing the in-person social with the in-person classes, with the in-person conferences. It's going to be just a huge mosh pit of what do we do? How do we do it? Nobody's here that did it before. Now what?
Adding on to that directly what he just said. So I think about half of our new e-board, they've only experienced the leadership side of SWE virtually. Like I was grateful enough to have been in person and virtual as a leadership role, but some of our officers from this year and even our new e-board members, they haven't. And so it's a matter of making sure that whatever we lost when we went virtual, like we can tell them and make sure that they're aware that these are still options that you can bring back when we're in person, and making sure that they understand how it was when we planned those events and things like that. So I think bringing back any of the lost traditions that we did have when we were in person.
Even with just ordering food for GBMs, that's a whole hassle in itself. And it's like, nobody's ordered food for GBMs in a year. So it's like.
We also have a lot of merch to give out. So I think at least our organization, we're going to be just like passing out merch like candy. Just like everywhere, anyone.
Yeah, I know. I definitely want to hear Fernando and Brian's thoughts on the on this coming back. I'm going to get your perspective on that.
I would say honestly, for me, I'm not a president. I don't know what it takes to really be a president. I personally love the online world. I'm going to be happy with a very slow transition back. Obviously, I like seeing my friends. I wish I could see them more. I wish I could go to those larger events. But for the time being, you know, everything has been COVID safe, small, very small, maybe one-on-one socially distant experiences. But, you know, being able to roll out of my bed in the morning and walk 5 feet before going to class, that's kind of nice. So I'm cool with the slow transition, but I've also noticed certain things, like about 2 weeks ago or last week, I visited some of the teams that I work for Winter Guard. Not a lot of people know what it is, so I don't feel like explaining it on this. It'll take too long. But yeah, that was still COVID safe. And that was being able to go to a live performance, watching people perform for an audience, and that to me I think was perfectly fine. And luckily about 95% of the people were completely COVID safe. If they weren't, trust me, I was nowhere near them. But yeah, that's my thought.
When it comes to classes, I think, you know, it'll be fine. But when it comes to like more in person, like clubs or social events, online we have the option of just, you know, I'm gone, you can't see me anymore.
Yeah.
In person, I can't just do this, you know. So it's more of like just getting comfortable again, getting my pace on how it used to be, and hopefully, you know, it'll be the same. If not, then I'll be in the corner kind of shy.
Yeah. I know.
So, yeah.
I know for me, one of the things, I probably won't be able to do it right when we get back, but one of the things I'm looking forward to is Spirit Splash, you know, trying to get
Oh yeah.
But besides all the personal stuff, more clubs, you know, one of the biggest things us presidents have to look out for, you know, is when a new board comes, our transition reports, right? Or like the reports we have to make so that our members can, the new board can kind of understand what's been going on, how to carry out certain situations and things like that. So it's definitely going to be a lot of work on our part, but coming back to in person is going to be amazing. Numbers will go up for us. More opportunities from different companies will come to us and our members. So that's something I'm very excited about, and basically echoing what everybody else mentioned. You know, it's going to be a new world, but it's something that I'm looking forward to.
I will say, as hard as it's going to be going back in person, I feel like this first 2 years after COVID, everything's going to be that much bigger, that much more exciting, because everyone's really appreciative of the fact of what it is to be in person again. But on the downside, it's also that reality check of GBMs aren't just Zoom calls anymore. Now it's the actual, like, I need to be there an hour before the prep. I have to pick up the food, or like get this together. Like even for events or tailgates or socials or whatever, now it's like that reality of, oh, these aren't just click in, click out anymore. These are actually like, I gotta like allocate my time. I gotta show up. I gotta clean up. I gotta like readjust my schedule. So I'm kind of curious to see how these new boards kind of tackle that.
Yeah, I definitely think that's going to be, that transition back is going to be a struggle. I could definitely say for myself, I'm going to struggle with it. Like understanding that commutes are now a thing, like that and again, there's just so much more. It's not just switching your tab. It's now going across Orlando or going across the campus. It's going to be
Although,
rough.
Not for nothing, you talk about how great it is, that feeling of gratitude when you're done working hard. And the fact of the matter is everything is based on this community, and having that community in person there's so much more reward, in my opinion, as well. Being
Fully
able
agree.
to
Oh, 100%.
fully engage. Yeah. The work is worth it.
No, I definitely agree. I think it'll be kind of funny. Like I know in the first GBM, I'm definitely going to like speaking in front of actually 100 people rather than just like 100 names on a Zoom call. I feel like I'm definitely going to be super nervous for that, but I don't know. I kind of like I think the discomfort will be fun.
I feel like when all the lectures are back in person, about like the first 3 to 4 rows are just going to be empty of people, because everyone will not want to just like sit up front.
Right.
I believe that. Do you all think that people are going to continue wearing masks?
I am.
Yeah. I feel like masks have been normalized at this point. I feel like 2022, 2023, we may see people just not wear them anymore, but at least for me, I got so used to wearing them that even if I'm ever sick, take out the mask. If I'm at the gym, take out the mask. Like, I don't know. I feel like it's just so normal nowadays.
Yeah, I definitely think Carlos is right. Like, I think the best application of it is like we should now, anytime we know that we're sick, probably wearing a mask at that point is probably the way to go. Like you're just preventing disease spread, no matter what it is. I mean, that's what like some of Southeast Asia's done ever since the COVID pandemic back in, I don't know, it's been a while now, like over a decade ago. Like they've all been wearing the masks. So I think, there's a good balance of like accurately taking precautions. I think that's going to be in place.
Right. I know for me, I'm definitely going to be most likely wearing a mask a little bit more once we get back, just in case, and of course, I don't blame anybody. If you don't want to wear your mask, definitely go ahead, But I know for me, my personal interest, I'll be wearing mine. Hopefully it comes out by then, but I know Razor's putting out a cool mask. I forgot what it's called, but it like lights up. It's like a real mask you can wear with COVID and whatnot. So that'll be pretty cool to wear. But besides that, I'm never going to shame anybody for not wearing a mask, but I know for me, I'll be wearing mine once we get back.
I definitely will, because I'll be living in a more urban area when I take my job. So I definitely don't want to take a risk with my own health. If other people don't want to wear a mask, then that's for them to figure out. But for me personally, I probably will. It's a matter of how do you see life the same way? Yeah. Like you never used to see like germs in the air when you go outside, like in your brain. But now, like when you go outside, it's like, wow, this is how many millions of people get sick. Like I should probably take precautions.
Oh yeah. My mom actually mentioned to me, this is a weird side note, but my mom mentioned to me how her mother was extremely particular about being clean, about making sure everything was sanitized. And after our pandemic began, she was like, oh, maybe that's why, because her mother had gone through a previous pandemic as well. And I was like, that kind of makes sense, because I'm feeling the same way. If I'm sick, I'll put on a mask. I'm used to it now. Why not? Like, help other people just not get sick.
Yeah, big brain move there, Brian.
Just repeating what the people are saying. Not that smart. That's awesome. So yeah, Trishna, you talked about accepting this job. What are your plans right now for moving on after college?
So I guess I did mention that. Whoops. So I'm going to be working for Amazon in Seattle. So I'll be working as a software developer for them. I was interning with them virtually last summer. I was supposed to go get the whole full Seattle experience done. That never panned out, but I'll be getting the full Seattle experience now as I progress into full time.
Oh, it's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Does anybody else have any exciting after college plans?
Yeah, I'll speak of my mind. So currently, I'm gonna be a Verizon employee intern this coming summer, and my plan with Verizon is joining their leadership development program, where you'll work for them for a contracted amount of time, and after that, you'll become a manager, and you just move up from there. So that's something I'm really looking forward to in the network engineering field. But besides that, my main goal in life, mostly that I want to accomplish, definitely before 40 or 50 even, is creating an organization for students who are unfortunately, mentally disabled, as well as creating an organization that can create drones or work with a company that creates drones to send supplies out to third world countries such as the Dominican Republic, where I'm from. And that's where my inspiration mostly comes from. But I have a longer spiel than that, but that's basically my lifetime goals right there.
Where is that going to be?
So for the Verizon internship, yeah. So the internship, Sally's going to be virtual. It's supposed to be in Westlake, California, and I would have loved that. That's one of the places. Yeah, one of the places I really wanted to go to. But once I get contracted with them, if I do receive a full-time offer, I hope to go to California, maybe New York. One of those more urban places.
Nice. For me, so similar to Trishna, I've been saying that a lot this podcast, but I'll also be in Seattle for a full-time job. So I accepted a role with Accenture in their consulting development program. So no idea when I start yet. I just know it's between July to September, but I'm super excited. Similar to Trishna again, I should have interned with them last summer in Seattle, but I went virtual. But even then, it was the whole opportunity to that even though you weren't there physically, you were still there virtually, and being able to see that even though it wasn't the full experience, you still got to see the culture for what it was, the people, the company. So I assume it's similar to Amazon. But yeah, I'm excited to see Seattle for that first time. It'll be a nice reality check.
That's good.
Yeah, for me, I always feel a little bit weird even just saying it because it's like the company I'll be working for is like my dream company. Like at the start of the year, I was super interested, and I still can't believe it panned out. But this summer I'll be working for Tesla out in Cali, so really looking forward to that. Like honestly, it's gonna be awesome.
All of you are like such big heavy hitters. Yeah, no, honestly, really, I wish.
We love you too, Fern.
But speaking about the future, though, I believe all of us or all of you, your clubs, have your own like professional chapter, professional conference. You guys see, yourself going back to the conference or like being a recruiter, helping out, or even coming back to UCF and speaking for the new generation of your clubs?
For sure. With NSBE, we have a national conference and a more of a regional conference, right? And like I said earlier, I want to be able to help out students that were in my position. So exactly what you mentioned, hopefully be a recruiter for them, maybe even come out to some GBMs once I graduate, just being that older employee, like, hey guys, this is what you should be doing. This is what you should not be doing. Trying to, help them out, trying to, they call it an old head, be an old head for these people, trying to help them out through these times. But yeah, definitely see myself being a recruiter in the future, helping my previous members out.
Yeah, I think for IEEE's point of view, like the conferences are definitely a big part of the professional side. I mean, basically anything in EE or CPE, like a lot of that flows through IEEE standards and presenting at conferences. I think the dream would be to one day be granted like the fellow status for that. That's like one of the dreams things for IEEE. I think on the more personal side and the more UCF side, I mean, I definitely really want to come back to UCF and be able to help see IEEE through and keep it going on and keep it improving. I think kind of like that idea of like, did you make an impact and a legacy is like, I don't know if it's necessarily the most important thing, but it's really cool to see that you can have made a change that has lasted and that really helps others throughout. So I don't know what kind of that will extend to and what that will look like in a few years, but hopefully I can make some visits down here and continue to speak and help everybody grow.
I'm similar. I definitely do want to come back 100%. Just whether to recruit or just speak, or whether it's virtual, hybrid, in person. The beauty of COVID is we've made virtual so accessible that regardless of where you're at in the world, you can just click a link, show up, talk to people, and just hop off the call. Um, but I think a lot of us, we have our rough weeks or rough days, but at the end of the day, we love what we do. We love our clubs. We love the people. So I think all of us really do want to just do what's best for the clubs, each other, and just the school. I know UCF often gets overlooked or doesn't have the best rep, but we have a lot to prove to the world that we're from UCF, but that we're good quality. We have a lot to prove and a lot to show for it. So
I will
Definitely
say
agree.
for me, I want to definitely bring more like Amazon recruiting to UCF, because I know I didn't really speak to a recruiter during my entire process. For all the conferences that I went to at SWE, I never like spoke to an Amazon recruiter. And so I was lucky that I got like shuffled through the pipeline, especially being from UCF. So I definitely want to at least bring back, if not for UCF, then for at least SWE, that support system of having an Amazon professional there, or as someone from the tech industry that's been a previous leader in the organization.
Yeah, just quickly, I want to echo both what Carlos and Trish said about kind of like UCF being overlooked a lot of times. I mean, it's something that I've definitely thought of a lot. Even when I was applying to colleges, I'll be quite frank, like UCF was not my original first choice, but I think if I had gone anywhere else, I don't think I would have had as good of an experience. I think there's so much opportunity here, and having so many individuals that are so driven at this university is really awesome. And I think, kind of what we're able to do with our organizations and kind of spearheading the effort, I think is how we get UCF to be more nationally recognized, and for people to get in their heads that, we're here to do really cool things, and we're not going away anytime soon.
You say that again, man.
Go Knights.
Charge on, charge on.
Charge.
That was great, Brian. I love that.
This is like my highest level. I get this much energy. That's what you're gonna get out of me.
All right, I guess I'll ask a question. I guess just to throw a hypothetical at you guys, obviously you're passionate. I guess to test how passionate you are, will you guys do this again next year? If you weren't graduating,
Your litmus test.
an intern test.
I can see Carlos wanting to speak.
no, so I mean, I would personally say no. But it's more so not for the reasons that it's a lot or that it's just too much, but it's more so passing on the baton to someone else. I think this is a very unique experience for all of us, and being able to give that to someone else and kind of let them guide the club and their view and their vision, I think it's really important. But also a part of it is personal in the sense that since it's my 5th role, I am a little tired. So I'm just kind of excited to kind of just be a normal member, just a professional. Just be like, hey, I'm available. I'll do it for 30 minutes and like, all right, I'm out. It's like being the fun uncle where it's like, they're not your kids, but you enjoy them just the same, but you can give them back whenever you want to. But yeah, that's my response.
For me, I don't plan on coming back, and to kind of echo what Carlos was saying, I've received so many experiences being president, a lot of stress, a lot of achievements, a lot of accomplishments, a lot of turmoil, but through all this, I definitely became a better person, a better individual, and a better man. And I would never, and I'm not saying if you're come back to be president that you're not selfish, but I know for me, I don't want another individual to miss the opportunity that I've had. I want them to go through the things that I go through so that they can become a better individual for when they graduate, So I know for me, like Carlos was saying, I definitely want to pass the baton out so that they can kind of receive the same experiences, learn from it, gain from it, and hopefully just like it's like a heirloom. That baton will be a heirloom to each and every person, the different experiences received from this organization.
I would definitely echo like both of those sentiments. As much as I would be honored to come back as president, I would not want to, just because one, it does give someone else the opportunity, and two, it gives that a new like outlook for the organization that maybe I haven't thought of, or that maybe they've seen as in a different role, because not everyone has the same leadership path. And so I would definitely want to give that opportunity to someone else. And I have also served on the executive board twice now. So it would not be fair for me to sit here and say, yes, my approach is correct, blah, 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 blah. Like, no. It's time to like give someone else the reins, give them a chance to do what they want. Obviously stick to some of the stricter guidelines that we have to adhere to. But other than that, just like lead the organization how you think you want to, because that was the opportunity given to me, opportunity given to Carlos, opportunity given to Jason, Alex, like all of us. So it's time that like we let someone else like show their what they want to do.
Well, this is the part of the podcast where I look like a total ass, but yeah, so I'm coming from definitely let me try to make this like as politically correct as possible. No, but in all reality, yeah, it's interesting that I'll be coming back for a second term this next year. I think everything you guys just said has run through my mind quite a lot. The idea of taking away the opportunity from somebody else, the idea of I've made my impact and I should be okay with that. Don't get me wrong, I've thought of that quite a lot, and it was a decision I kind of pondered over for many months this last year, if I would want to come back for another term. But what had kind of pushed me over to the edge on wanting to do this again was the idea of we've made such a good impact, and I really want to see this through in a year that is in person, and we have so much more ideas and potential that I really want to see come through, and so many opportunities that I want to see delivered to the organization. I do think in any aspect, even if I wasn't running again, I could still make that impact. But I think that for it to come to fruition, this is probably the best position to be in for myself. We'll see how it plays out. Yeah, I think at the end of the next year, if I feel very guilty about it, that will be unfortunate. But I think in the end of the day, it's a choice that I've made at this point, and hope I have to live with that and learn from it in any aspect. So.
I mean, Alex, in your defense, our Constitution doesn't let us run twice.
That's
So
right.
that's also, the political route is just we're not allowed to. So
I would like also say that you said that you didn't really have much like leadership in terms of IEEE, right?
This was my first leadership position. So
like for me at least, and I know definitely Carlos, we've like been in leadership roles so long. Like for you, this would just be your second round. So like I think you haven't had a long enough impact or a long enough term anyway to make an impact. So go for it. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
I feel like I'm in like AA right now, and I need like I need what is it called when you get therapy? I needed therapy.
I mean, from my opinion, being a member of IEEE back then too, it wasn't the best, and I feel like Alex did a lot, even through Zoom. Like the discourse popping 24/7. My phone's vibrating, and I'm just excited to see what he can do in person. Just like he can fly. I don't know his potential.
Yeah, fingers crossed we could keep doing cool things, keep kicking ass.
Exactly. But just to stem off this though, each one of your organizations has a niche. Women, Black people, Hispanic people, electrical engineers. What do you guys do to welcome other people, like different race, different genders, or different majors? Give me a business major, psychology. You never know.
honestly, just talking to them, just saying hi and just making them feel like they're a part of the team. It comes down to it doesn't matter where you're from, doesn't matter what your major is. You're a human too. You're a person. So just, hey, what's up? How are you? How are your classes? Is it rough for you too? All right, cool. Let's get a beer. Let's have a drink. We'll talk about it. And that's it. At the end of the day, when you make it a point to be welcoming, that's when people just kind of see that you're trying too hard. Whereas if you just go with it and just say, "Oh, cool, you're here, welcome," and it just the less effort you put into it, the more natural it becomes.
I know for our organization, shout out to Alan, by the way, but Alan, he's one of our, I want to say white members in our organization. And he has been more than, how do I say this? Like he's been coming out to a lot of our events. He's been helping out here and there. He's for the cause, you know, but anyways, if there was a new member coming in, let's just say a white, Hispanic, Asian, of, you know, any, you know, we'll definitely welcome them. We'll provide them the same opportunities as we do for our Black engineers here. And because we want everybody to be able to be successful, right? That's our main goal. So to kind of talk about what Carla was mentioning, you know, be very, very comforting, making sure they know they're at home, you know, and as a joke, you know, they're welcome to the cookout. You know, you want to come to the cookout, definitely come out. So yeah, we're definitely welcoming to everybody.
I would definitely agree that we try to be welcoming as we can to everyone, including men. So all of you can come to our SWE GBMs. We do have guys that come out to our workshops that even just have like all female panels. And so I think there was actually one event where there was a guy that was constantly asking questions during the event and trying to get involved. So as long as you're remembering the mission of the organization that you're coming to support and just like not trying to demean that, like for us, empowering women, as long as you're not trying to demoralize women or something, you're more than welcome to come. Feel free. We definitely want to make sure that we provide the same opportunities. Professional development workshops don't how should I say this? It's not like it's specifically geared towards women or specifically geared towards men. The same techniques and tips can still be applied to everyone else. So come out.
Yeah, so for IEEE, we don't discriminate based on major. As I kind of said a little bit earlier, we are very open and are very in need of like every type of major. But I think even though we center a lot on the electrical and computer engineers, I think the basic skills that we kind of teach in the workshops we do are very applicable across any major, anyone that's interested in them. But on the wider question of how can you be as inclusive as possible, it's something that we've definitely been looking over a lot this year and trying to expand who we're reaching out to. I think more collaborative efforts, we've done a lot this year with various groups, and we're trying to continue to do that and keep expanding that into the next year. I think, again, offering opportunities that are more technically based to organizations such as SWE, NSBE, and SHPE is really the best way that we can expand that and give opportunities to everybody. Hopefully we can continue to do that. And I think as long as that goal isn't lost, we could keep giving those opportunities to everybody.
Definitely. And to kind of echo what everybody's saying, you know, as long as, you know, we're not discriminatory, but also making sure that you don't discriminate, obviously, right? And as long as you're for the goal of, you know, increasing the number of culturally responsible Black engineers, that's our national mission statement. As long as you have that goal in mind, join our organization, come over, you know. And we're, like I mentioned before, we're going to provide the same resources we provide our Black engineers to you. So you're, for any members out there listening, you know, you guys are more than welcome to join any of these orgs here, not based on gender, not based on race, not based on major, like Alex said.
Big snaps.
That's all incredible. I think we're starting to get to the time though, where we're going to be wrapping up this episode. Do all of you want to, you know, have some finalizing comments? Maybe because I know some of you alluded to greater stories and greater pictures that we just didn't really have time to talk about on this episode. So anything you want to mention to say to everyone before we say goodbye would be absolutely wonderful. Or maybe where we can find you afterwards to get more information.
Yeah, so I'll start this off. Yeah, you definitely come out to our social medias if you want to learn more about NSBE, NSBE UCF on Instagram. And to kind of end on an ending note, these organizations, for everybody listening, these organizations, joining one is probably one of the biggest things you could ever do in your college career, right? For me, specifically, joining NSBE has allowed me to gain internships after internships after internships, scholarships, learn more about what it means to be a part of a family. And you'll learn that in SHPE, SWE, IEEE. You'll learn that from all of these organizations. So please come out. Please join these orgs, because you're going to be a part of a family. You're going to learn so much. You're going to, have recruiters speaking like, oh, what's this club about? What is this organization about? And it's a great talking point on resumes, by the way. But yeah, please come out, because it's definitely going to change your life like it did for mine.
To jump off of that, I think one of the best ways to like make connections and get involved is to try and get involved with the conferences if possible. Hopefully through the organization financially supporting you, but if not, just like coming out to those conferences or getting involved with the people that do. That was the best way for me personally as a freshman. I went to a conference freshman year and I was hooked ever since. But that was, you got connections with people, you get to make friends, you get to meet members that you might not otherwise get to. So going to those conferences not only helps you professionally, but also helps you have a stable college career, I would say, and because then you have a source of support.
To jump on that as well. So all of our social media, we're just SHPE UCF, but definitely to end on this message, these clubs offer a support system that you can't really find elsewhere. That's when you realize that what you're going through is what everyone else is going through as well. That when you understand that you're all in this together, that you're all suffering together, that you're all making it through finals, exams, life, school, relationships, what have you, like we're all going through it, and having that there to not let you give up, I think is really key. So for me, my undergrad is taking me 6 years. 5 out of those 6 years were in SHPE, and had I not joined SHPE, I probably wouldn't be an engineer. And who knows if I'd be graduating right now. So it's understanding that these clubs really do give you the motivation to keep going. Is one of the biggest things that you can really get out of this. So even though presidency may be hard, leadership may be hard, don't let that stop you. Well, we all complain, but here we are, still giving back and still finding any way to stay involved, regardless of however much time we have left. So.
Man, you guys are honestly the best. I love this conversation we were able to have today, and I really do thank you guys for kind of joining us here for like the last episode of this inaugural season for this podcast that we kind of set out to do. I think hearing your guys' perspectives on this crazy year has been awesome. Hearing what your outlooks are for the future is great. And I think, we're all going to really good places. And I think that really expresses everything you just said about how important student organizations are and how integral they are into making the best of the best. So I think I definitely echo that. And I think one final note is kind of that I want to express is like, I feel like, again, as students, we're kind of put into a box of like what we can do. And I think it's super important to always be pushing that boundary and to not let others define what, based on our background, based on what our current skill set might be, others defining what is possible for us. So keep pushing those boundaries, keep trying to find opportunities to get involved. And again, keep on keeping on. Yeah. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ozil. Thank you so much for being here. This has been the end of the first season. Oh, wait. Yes, Fernando? No?
Thank you. That's it.
Good way to go out. All right.
Wholesome ending. Big hearts.